Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today I wanted to talk about HIMS specifically. Why is the stock down almost 25% today? A big negative catalyst, and also two HIMS acquisitions. Of course, HIMS is coming up as far as earnings this coming Monday, so that'll be an exciting day to stay tuned in for. HIMS for me is a long term investment, but there was always a very well known negative catalyst. And boy, had that hit today. Now, if you're going to tell me 3 weeks ago that this catalyst would come out and HIMS would be over $50 anyway, I would not have believed you. So anything can happen in the stock market. But what is this negative catalyst? It's this specifically. The FDA shortage list noted that the shortage is now resolved for semaglutide, which means companies like HIMS can no longer compound this. Now, what is a shortage list? It's when the FDA says, hey, there's so much demand for this product, we don't have nearly enough supply. So 503A and 503B compounding facilities have a green light to go ahead and produce. HIMS is one of the beneficiaries of that. But there are exceptions, and we'll look at those exceptions as well. Now, the good thing is the FDA did clarify that they're not currently going to go after compounding facilities. In fact, they've given these 503B facilities basically 3 months of grace period just to ensure that there's no disruption for existing clients. And the CEO himself weighed in on this as well. And this is actually from a prior earnings call. This is about 3 months ago. Andrew Dudum noted that he thought that there was another avenue where they could produce these even when it went off the shortage list. So he said, we think the composition of all those different avenues will enable quite a durable business across weight. And that really, I think, regardless of whether or not that shortage dynamic happens in a couple of months or next year or years from now, I think the precedent specifically on the GLP-1 side or personalization and compounding to the 503A has existed for many, many years. And I think that regulators, legislators, and drug companies and healthcare system really respect the clinical need of that personalization when it's necessary for a patient. So his argument, and this is somewhat right, is for 503A, which allows for a smaller, more selective type of compounding, drugs such as GLP-1, semaglutide, like HIMS does, then it would do so based on clinical necessity. That's true. However, personalization does not necessarily demonstrate that, and I think that this might be an uphill legal battle. Now, the CEO himself did note this today in his post, and he said, hey, drug shortages, they can compound in, and then clinical necessity. We enable personalized treatment when commercially available options don't meet individual patient needs, whether in doses, administration, or the need for additional ingredients. And that's likely to be the tone of the earnings call. A lot of questions on GLP-1 revenue and also whether or not HIMS can continue to benefit from this. Now, part of the reason why it has such a large focus is for HIMS. The GLP-1 drugs make up about 40% of their sales. In January, they noted that they had about 104% increase in volume from last year, and a lot of those are GLP-1s. And a lot of that is going to go away under that 503B since they're no longer under the shortage act from the FDA. 503A compounding, the personalization, I expect some of that will continue and be approved by the FDA and some of it won't. And if HIMS continues to produce that in large scale and arguing that all of their personalization is a clinical need, I think that they're probably going to see some lawsuits as well. Now, does this change the bull thesis for me as a HIMS investor? No, it absolutely does not. Going into this play, before I even bought my first share of stock, I knew that this was going to go away at some point. I figured it was probably in the first half, maybe the first quarter, and that's what we saw here. Surely enough, they will get some revenue from GLP-1. Liraglutide is one of those solutions, and also that 503A exception. But I don't think it's going to be nearly the same level as what they're able to do now and also over the next 3 months. We'll have to see. Time will tell, and guidance on this will be very important in this earnings call on Monday. So if those comps are for the next year going to be a lot harder since they had this sugar rush of GLP-1 sales that's going away, or at least most of it is, why am I still a HIMS shareholder? Well, that personalization has gotten a whole lot better. This is a well-executing company, and it's one that even without GLP-1 solution is growing rapidly. I just felt that the price at $71 was a little bit too much too soon. And of course, I took some profits and some stock off the table. I'll look for an opportunity to add that back if we continue falling. But there are two acquisitions that were actually announced within this last week. Now, one of those is that they announced that they were going to acquire a company that does in-home testing for subscribers. So basically, what this is it's a blood draw kit. You don't actually have to put a needle in yourself. Instead, it uses a blood lancet, which basically you stick it on your skin. Boom, you get just a little tiny bit of blood. Anybody can do that at home. You don't have to be a qualified nurse. You don't have to find a vein or anything like that. And then you just send it off to HIMS. HIMS then tests it and is able to look at a whole bunch of markers based on your blood, feed that into their MedMatch system, which really HIMS is all about a data play, and offer a personalized product or personalized solution that better will meet your need. Now, I think this does a couple of things for HIMS. One is this personalization really is the moat. The way that they're able to use and leverage their data is also a big part of that moat as well. As I've mentioned elsewhere, HIMS personalization for their subscription model is the key driver of this company, and they know it as well. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the first graphics they show every single time. And we can see that non-personalized, that's generics that you can get anywhere. Those tend to not be sticky consumers simply because it's all about price and convenience. Now, HIMS does offer that in spades, but this lighter blue color, this is the personalization, which is over half of their revenue. Now, with MedMatch and certainly with this new acquisition, what this enables them to do is continue offering even a higher value proposition for these personalized products. And when somebody is on this is a very sticky product that all of a sudden HIMS users are not likely to find that same quality, that same convenience, that same exact match that is working so well for them in Ro, in Amazon, or any other provider as well. Now, the other aspect that I really like on this purchase is this may bolster HIMS' argument that they're able to offer something through compounding GLP-1 that is clinically and medically necessary for their consumers. If they're able to do so based on blood draws, based on perceived side effects and the mitigation thereof. We'll have to see. I wouldn't personally count on much from the way of GLP-1 revenue, yet nevertheless, this is a rapidly growing company. Now, the other acquisition that they announced was this one just today, that they acquired a US-based peptide facility. This is over in California as well. And this is really here to strengthen that back end. It's about having that supply chain and able to produce that personalized care that's built within their operational structure. It allows them to control costs as well. So that's a very good thing. HIMS has used acquisitions aggressively in the past. They continue to do so, and they integrate them very, very well in their company. This is not a company that is looking for acquisitions and growth at all costs, but they have a well thought out plan, and these integrate very, very well into their ecosystem. So for myself, I'm not changing anything as far as HIMS. I'm not selling anymore and taking profits. I'm not buying anymore at this level, and I do hope that we will see very good earnings, but with a nice juicy dip that brings it back under that price where I had first sold a number of shares. Now, as a reminder, HIMS is reporting Monday after hours, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I'm sure the CEO will talk about this. So the timing of this, while never was going to be a perfect time, it's just about perfect because it really allows HIMS to talk about this and how this will impact their guidance in the near term as well. But I think that they're well positioned in this market to just dominate over the next several of years. I think that the market is beginning to see them as a leader in this side of the industry. But HIMS is a very volatile name. It can go up or down very rapidly. And it wouldn't shock me if we continue to see a bit more sell-off, even with what I expect to be very good earnings. Let me know what you think in the comments. Has this changed the HIMS thesis for you? Are you looking to buy the dip? Are you waiting for a greater dip? Or are you just watching from the sides, enjoying popcorn? There's no wrong answer, but as always, I want to thank you for watching, commenting, and subscribing. For now, happy investing.